people you listen to seriously the first time. You know those people who just command attention and you have to listen and do what they say. It's an aura, it's a skill set, and it's either there or it's not. A massive part of conversational elegance is trusting that your listener actually heard you the first time. When we repeat a point many different ways, it subtly signals that we don't think the other person is trustworthy or is quick enough to catch it. True confidence in speech means letting a statement stand on its own feet without propping it up with different phrases and synonyms. We tend to loop back to topics when we feel a conversational gap that we don't know how to fill. Silence makes people anxious, so we tend to grab the nearest familiar thought and give it another spin. There's a distinct difference between emphasizing a point and just hammering it to the ground. Emphasis requires a change in tone, volume, or pacing to underscore the importance. Repetition makes the conversation feel quite tiresome. We often repeat ourselves because we are trying to convince ourselves as much as the listener when we aren't entirely secure in our own stance. We keep talking to build up our own internal wall of evidence. If you truly believe what you're saying, a single precise declaration is enough. There's a subtle fear of being misunderstood that drives most verbal redundancies. We worry that if we don't present the idea from different angles, the core message will get lost in translation. In reality, offering too many angles usually just blurs the image and confuses the listener. Do some of us love the sound of our own voice? It can naturally lead to over-talking. We get a tiny hit of dopamine when we hold the floor, which incentivizes us to stretch our points out a little bit. When we repeat an instruction to someone multiple times, it often crosses the line into micromanagement. It shifts from being helpful to expressing a fundamental lack of trust in someone's competence or memory. Give the direction once, ask if there are any questions, and then step back and let them execute. The best storytellers leave gaps for the audience's imagination to fill in the blanks. They don't need to explain every single detail of a character's backstory or motivation. Trusting the audience to connect the dots prevents the narrative from feeling repetitive and patronizing. The most confident talkers are completely unafraid of a long, heavy silence. They make their point and let the listener sit with the weight of the statement. They don't feel the need to cushion the impact with protective filler words or repetitive summaries. When you pause before answering a difficult question, you project authority. It shows that you are actively processing the input rather than just pulling a pre-recorded response from your mental archives. In negotiations, the person who speaks first after a long silence often loses the upper hand. People are so uncomfortable with the void that they will offer concessions just to break the tension. If you can master the art of sitting still and remaining silent, you can control the situation. We live in a world that values instant responses. But fast speech is rarely deep speech. Taking 20 seconds to formulate a unique, thoughtful response is always better. The space between your thoughts is where your actual intuition lives. If your mind is constantly filled with internal chatter and repeated worries, you block out the quiet signals of your own instinct. Give yourself quiet time every day to clear your system and reset. When you deliver a point clearly once, you leave no room for the listener to negotiate with your certainty. Repetition breeds debate because it looks like you're trying to convince the room rather than stating a fact. Say what you mean with absolute clarity, and then move the agenda forward. The art of not repeating yourself is ultimately the practice of compelling presence. If you are fully anchored in this exact second, you respond dynamically to what is happening right now. This creates a completely unique experience for everyone involved.